Hi, my name is Luke Booth, and this is Lauren Denlinger, and we are here to present the idea Freedom Frame. So let's start with the problem. Throughout the world, there are over 40 million slaves, which includes sex trafficking, forced labor, child soldiers. There's 40 million throughout the globe. Taking it to a more local scale, in 2017, there were 7,066 reported cases of juvenile runaways in Michigan alone. And doing some math, that pops out to almost 1,200 juvenile sex trafficking victims in just Michigan alone. So that brings us to our problem, that there's so many survivors of this horrific crime, human trafficking, that need some help, that need to be stabilized to re-enter society and escape these crimes. But they can't do it alone. So there's many people like you, like me, who have a heart for these people, who want to lend them a hand. But because of lack of connection, I can't do anything to help them. It's hard. We can't communicate. We can't give them money, whatever it may be, because there's no connection. So thankfully, there are many safe houses scattered throughout West Michigan. They're doing therapeutic art classes, creating pieces to help these survivors process what they've been through, what they're going through, and helping them re-enter into society. So we at Freedom Frame hope to partner with women at risk and these safe houses by training them in creative writing, which is Lauren's specialty, to write their story, to process that way, to write poems, bundling the art piece, like you have up there, a bit of their story, the paintbrush that they use to create the piece, and a poem, bundling that together and shipping that out in a monthly subscription to the consumer that they can hang on their wall, which acts as a kind of spotlight of awareness that they can point to when they have friends and family over. There's also a possibility of a pen pal relationship where you as the purchaser can write to the survivor, give them feedback on their art, encourage them throughout this process, and also finally, financially supporting them. I'll get to money later, but all of the money from the profits of the subscription sales goes right back to the survivors. We hope to establish as a nonprofit. So target market, in West Michigan, there are about 1.2 million people, and of those, we're focusing on women at 621,000, and within these three age ranges, there are 382,000 roughly women. And we hope to focus specifically, initially, on those who are passionate about fighting human trafficking, who have the same heartbeat as Freedom Frame, to begin to connect with so that they can spread with their friends. So our competition, we took a look at two art subscription models that are most similar to Freedom Frame. And though some have inspirational connection, one might have a connection to the artist, none are having a local impact like we are, making real life impact on lives. So our survey, looking weird. So we performed two surveys, total of 63 respondents, and a majority of them said that they would purchase art because of a personal connection to the artist. 82% didn't have any connection to a survivor, so we can all relate to that, validating the problem. And over almost a quarter said that they were interested in a service like Freedom Frame. So our revenue model, this will be at $35 a month per subscription. So that's a cheap night out once a month. That's not a whole lot, and it's going to impact these lives. Plus, as a nonprofit, we'll be able to receive donations that we hope to cover the administration, the operations costs. So that, again, the profits from the $35 goes right back to the survivors in the form of a savings account housed by the safe houses. So again, our primary form of marketing will be through word of mouth. As you see the photo or the painting in somebody's house, you can tell them about it. And then also through a future partnership with Women at Risk International, who are boots on the ground rescuing women in this area and globally. So let's jump into financials. So initially, the first month, you will get sent a frame, which is just over $12. And from then on out, shipping the piece of artwork and the canvas, the painting supplies, and the shipping comes out to a total of $10.56, with a profit of almost $25 going, again, right back to these survivors, providing stability as they reenter society. We estimate a year one profit of just over $3,000, and picking up in year two, we're hoping to grow a whole lot through our partnerships, and then in year three, again, continue to grow. We will be breaking even with our 19th subscription sent, very low startup costs, hoping to do that in just October of 2019. So the team, Levi Mikey, who unfortunately couldn't join us tonight, he will be the head of the operations, and kind of just facilitating the supply chain between the safe houses to the customer. Myself will be facilitating the marketing, the sales, that type of thing, and Lauren here will be doing the creative writing teaching. Oh, and we also have a mentor in Lauren Carlson, who is the volunteer coordinator at Women at Risk. So she's been educating me and Lauren and Levi a whole lot over this process, which has been great. So go-to-market strategy. This summer, be building relationships, generate some pre-sales towards the end of the summer, and begin shipping this fall in September. So hoping to get it up and going quickly. Our next step is to hope to win this, some seed money here tonight, get our startup costs covered, and from there be able to purchase some art supplies for these people and begin shipping soon after incorporating as a nonprofit, at least beginning that process June 1st. So again, thank you so much. We are Freedom Frame, and here we are.
Seems to be on. A great presentation, great cause, and ended right on the bell, so great job. Quick question on the $35 subscription fee. Have you considered higher level subscriptions and what that might look like? Or, obviously they could just give you more money, which is a way to go, but from a sales perspective, is there a way to just, say I would rather do it $300 a month or whatever?
Definitely. Yeah, so actually initially we started off at $25 a month, just based off of what our competitors were kind of selling their products at, the art subscriptions. But based on research and advising from mentors and stuff, we decided to bump it up $10. And maybe it is that a higher price is better, but that's again something that we can consider in the future. But very open to it. I mean, the more money that we can get to these survivors, the better.
Again, great presentation and a great cause. What have you found to be some of the needs of these victims, and how did you pick art as the vehicle?
Yeah. So Women at Risk, they're huge. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the organization, but they are big on providing stability for these survivors, hence partnership with the Safe House. Art specifically helps. There's science behind, doing art to process that. I'm a physics major, so I don't know exactly the, biology behind it, but yeah, specifically with a therapeutic kind of tendency, and with society moving towards the knowledge area versus kind of manufacturing. There's a lot of great organizations out there that are training women to create jewelry, create scarves, things like that. But the question that is on my kind of career-minded heart is how many different avenues can we create for jobs of women and men and children who've been victims of trafficking. So just trying something new other than jewelry and things like that, which are great. Again, I don't want to discount that.
Great presentation. Have you guys looked at all, researched the costs into incorporating as a nonprofit, becoming a nonprofit?
Yes, so I've had mixed answers. One place I found saw $500, one did $1,000. We've also been suggested that another route could be to partner under an established 501c3 to get going, to kind of just even more validation on the idea, get the program going, and then incorporate it as our own. So cost-wise, somewhere between $500 and $1,000.
Just curious at kind of how that affects your timeline to based on the costs.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
All right, let's give them a round.
Thank you so much.
So we're going to have camper medication up here next, and we'll let the judges enter their notes for a few minutes.
Well, I mean, I'll mention that with the revenue model, so, excuse me. Which one are you talking to? Both. Okay. Is this the clicker right here?
On deck after Med Rover, we have Sweet Adventures, so you guys can get ready to present. Okay, so next we have camper medication or Med Rover.
Hello, everyone. I'm Aiden Wysocki, also known as Beans at summer camps across West Michigan.
And I'm Jake Tevkowski, also known as Dabs throughout various summer camps.
Yes, and we have both been campers, counselors, and volunteers at several summer camps. And I've been a camper since 2005. In recent years, we've noticed a huge trend, just being camp counselors, and we're around it all the time. We see these kids during the summer, and we grow really attached to them, and we believe that camp has a transformative power. But something that's really been a big problem recently, we've seen a huge rise in campers coming with medications. And statistics from the American Camping Association state that 19% of kids in the U.S. take medications, and they bring medications to camp. And 45% of summer camps say that they have issues managing these medications. We wanted to validate this, and we went out and talked to different counselors, camp administrators, and camp nurses, and we found some interesting insights. Something that we had found is 20 years ago, it used to be just a single tub of medications, and now it's usually 2 wagonfuls each week. Medication lines can get as long as 30 to 40 minutes long, and administering meds takes about 50 to 60 seconds per camper. But we had heard from Carmo Johnson that being a camp nurse for 52 years, recently it's just been a huge increase, and they can't keep up. And last summer it was 50 campers at breakfast, 3 or 4 at lunch, 20 at dinner, and 25 at nighttime. So here's a line of 50 campers, and there at the end there's this camper who's waiting 41 minutes to get through if each medication is 50 seconds long. And the last 10 are waiting about over 30 minutes here. So breaking that down, if you're one of those campers at the end of the line, you're probably thinking this is going to take forever. And it happens all the time. They just see that huge line and they skip and go straight to the dining hall, and they miss their medication times. So we have a 3-part solution that we're proposing for this. The first part is a medication administration software, which belongs in the health center with the nurse. The second part is a broadcasting hub connected to the software. And the third part is a counselor wristband for each counselor. The software will look like this. This is the general user interface. Here on the side, you can pull out a tab which has all the counselors and the wristbands. And the green icon will indicate that they have been sent, the yellow is in waiting, and the blue is administered. If you click on one of these counselors, you'll see that which campers are under them and which medications they require and at which times. There's a green button there you can push to send campers when it's time for their medications. The broadcasting hub is something that sits there in the health center next to the laptop. It can send messages from the software to the counselor wristbands. And it's backed up with a cellular service chip to store and protect medical records as per HIPAA regulations. The wristband looks much like this. It receives radio frequency messages on the family broadcasting range of about 460 wavelength. And it's capable of receiving important messages such as the camper medication times, lost camper drills, and other emergency situations. And it's capable of receiving messages up to 20 miles away. Here's a home screen, a look at telling the date and time, as well as when it's time for meds, they'll see the camper's name there and the time that they're required to go. And here's an example of the emergency beacon with a call for campers to the health center, or to the dining hall.
So our overall value prop at MedRover is that we want to provide a minimally disruptive medication management system and improve camper medication adherence and accountability. At MedRover, we believe that we have a unique solution that combines both software and hardware. As you can see on the software side, there are a couple of companies out there that already offer software packages, but that's only for the electronic medication administration. There's no source of communication between that and anyone else. And our biggest competitor is CampDocs. They offer their product at about $4 per camper. If you have 2,000 campers going per summer, that adds up very quickly. On the other side of that, we just have hardware with communication devices. A lot of camps do have radios or walkie-talkies, but they're not in the hands of the counselors. They're in the hands of the program staff, the leadership staff, so there's no direct line of communication between the counselor and the nurse. And everyone has a smartphone. You might be thinking, why not just wear an Apple Watch? That completely goes against everything summer camps stand for. They want this rustic, like old school feel. And you know, if a counselor's on their smartwatch or whatever, it just takes away from that rustic feel. So it's really important to have this non-intrusive technology. And we think we meet that right in the middle. We combine both the software and the hardware, but we have the subtle technology to do that. So in Michigan, our target market, there are 321 camps in Michigan. 41 camps are an hour drive away from Grand Rapids, which is where our office is. There are 2,040 camps in the Midwest and 8,500 overnight summer camps in all of the United States. So that's our total market. Our customer breakdown, or our target customer, is a summer camp that operates 3 months of the summer, usually 8 to 10 weekly sessions. These sessions typically run Saturday afternoon, or Sunday afternoon to Saturday morning. So 8 to 10 sessions of those. Each session has 200 campers and about 20 counselors, and the average cost to send your kid to camp is about $400 to $600 per camper. So with all of those numbers, the average summer camp generates about $1 million each summer in revenue. Our revenue model at MedRover is broken up into two parts. We have an initial install fee for $3,550. That includes us going to the camp, installing the software, setting up the radio frequency hub, and we give them 20 counselor wristbands. Additional counselor wristbands will be sold at $90 each. And we have an annual subscription fee at $4,800 a year. That is just so we keep all the systems running, keep the backup for the data with the cloud. That includes customer service or anything they might need. Some validation we've gotten, Joanna Walters said that she sees the value of MedRover on so many levels, helps with swim checks, health checks, active shooter drills. Tracy Gadlin said it's a creative, non-intrusive risk mitigation strategy. Liz Whaley said the subtle technology just adds so much value. And we've already had 3 camps commit to a pilot within an hour away from Grand Rapids.
And here's a quick look at our 5-year projection. You can see we've got 10 camps as our goal for 2020 and moving to 60 total in the second year. We also have included a 10% give back to these camps to give back to their scholarship funds. With our advisory team and executive team, we hope to go to market here with beta software development and prototypes in 2020 at 10 different camps. And yep, we're MedRover.
Thank you.
These teams are practicing down to the second. Yeah. So exciting.
Again, great presentation. A couple of questions. One, can you help understand, is it the counselors that have the tags or the campers?
The counselors are wearing the wristbands.
Okay. And have you talked to the same administrators, camp administrators, about the cost structure that you're thinking about?
Yes, so we've talked with 30 camps since developing our product and our cost structure. We've talked to 4 of them actually proposing that we pilot at their camps, and 3 of them have signed on board for 2020.
And like I said, a similar cost model is Camp Docs. They offer just the software at $4 per camper. Ours adds up to about $5 or $6 per camper, and that's the software and the hardware. So camps have said that it's worth paying that much for the value they get out of it. We've had validation on that.
What do startup costs look like for you guys? A little bit more, I would imagine, with the technology.
Yes, we've gone over that one kind of quick, but our expenses are pretty expensive, are heavy into the software up front. $83,000, most of that is going straight into software development. We have a CTO who's on board with us, and we've got 3 different software engineers that are giving us quotes between $70,000 and $100,000 to develop the software in the first year. Over time, though, we have allocated a lot of funds for the software development over the next 5 years.
Just a clarifying question. Is the counselor themselves carrying the medications and giving that to the kids, or?
No, actually, that was a new rule that just changed last year. ACA states that the medication must stay in the health center. So this is a line of communication between the camp nurse and the counselor.
Thanks.
Camps do have full-time nurses that stay on in their jobs just to manage that medication and manage whatever injuries come up.
Yeah, it's good you're on top of that.
And one final quick question. What process did you go through to find out how much it's going to cost to build that watch or receiver? I guess I won't call it a watch.
Yes, I've got family that's in manufacturing. There's LS Global is a local company here in Grand Rapids, and we've talked with them and kind of run some prices for manufacturing in China, as well as licensing the Broadcaster Hub. Broadcaster Hub is the more expensive of the 2 hardware. Yes, so the cost is built into, actually I think I have a slide after. Yeah, cost of goods. So the Broadcast Hub is at $500 per unit.
Have you talked to any campers about their thoughts on it?
Yeah, we've validated our idea through like talking to just different counselors, camp members, but some of the most fun that we've had is talking to the different campers. And we have heard some crappy experiences with campers like taking their meds, feeling that, you know, it's intrusive to their policy. They kind of are singled out, having to wait for their meds, and it hurts their time at camp, so.
Let's give them a round of applause. I love the fact that these guys got passed to the mic despite the fact that it completely shut off. That's a well-rehearsed pitch right there.
You can start the next one too.
So we're gonna have Sweet Adventures, and then Considered Furniture is on deck. We'll give the judges a few minutes to.
Hi everyone, my name is Taylor Derry and I am the founder and CEO of Sweet Adventures. So before I made the company, I took the time to actually take a trip to France when I was in high school. I then came back with lots of memories and a lot of recipes that I then wanted to create myself. The only issue I found was that a lot of the recipes that I tried to make had ingredients that I couldn't find in the United States, or the recipes took multiple days with no success, which then led to, again, trying to make it once more. So what I found was there was a lack of cultural cuisine within the Grand Rapids area. So our solution is to bring an international bakery right to Grand Rapids. We want to be able to show everyone and let them have the experience of experiencing those new flavors and those new experiences without having to get on a plane to travel somewhere else. Our one main unique factor of our business is that we want to be able to create a Country of the Month club. It is a monthly membership where at the beginning of the month you will have the option to order this box. It will come with a baked good from a specific country along with an informational booklet and working hand in hand with a small business. We want to be able to provide their products within the box as well, sourced from that country that we are showcasing. So within the market, there are about 100 different bakeries in Grand Rapids. That includes things like Walmart's bakery or Family Fair's bakery as well. We found that $6.2 billion is generated in revenue in 2018 throughout Michigan itself, and $830 million of that was in Grand Rapids. So our demographic, we decided to go between the ages of 25 and 55 and female with an income of about $55,000 to $75,000, just because it is a little bit more of a luxury item. Not many people are going to want to buy a membership if they don't make a good amount of money to spend that. So for competition, I focused mainly on membership boxes, the DIY desserts, making it yourself, and also local bakeries around Grand Rapids. The one thing that we do differently is we like to inform our customers. The membership boxes kind of do this depending on which company you're working with, whereas the DIY desserts, you can kind of look it up yourself, and the local bakeries don't tend to do it very much. And we also partner with small businesses, which only the local bakeries tend to do. So I did do a survey and found that about 90% of the people that I had surveyed had actually said that they wanted something like this within the market, and that it was hard to find something where they could actually try a different kind of baked good. And a lot of them, when I provided a list of different baked goods from different countries, they didn't know what they were. I also spoke with Emma Doyle, who is based in Wicklow, Ireland, and she is a shop owner on Etsy. She hand paints all of her images and products, and she actually found that she would be interested in providing our first month for that product. I've also talked with the owner of Facility Kitchens, trying to work around the cottage food law in Michigan to actually be able to sell through a website format, just to work around the cottage food law. For the revenue model, our main focus is on the membership, but we also eventually would like to add a locational space to be able to sell the products individually and not just have the box itself, because then it doesn't truly make a bakery when you can't buy the item yourself. For costs, I broke down the membership box itself between packaging, baked goods, the item itself, the informational booklet, and the informational pamphlet that comes with the box. That brought us to a cost of about $14.12 with an 80% markup that brought our price to $25 per box. Within the first year, we'd like to do 300 boxes, which would then total out to about $3,264. And through growth and relationship building, we feel that we can get our costs down on the box for the not only the good that is provided from the company, as well as the ingredients that go into it. Having a well-established relationship, we should be able to get those costs down between years 2 and 3. So the team would be myself. I am a business management and entrepreneurship major. I've been baking for a really long time. It's one of my favorite things to do. And then I have Kayla Brown. She is a marketing and advertising major at GVSU, and she not only will be handling the advertising and marketing, but also she has been working with her grandmother and her mom at their local bakery, so she was willing to actually help with the baking needs as well. And then I have Kimberly Petty as a financial advisor. She is well-versed with bookkeeping, and she's also a close family member. So for go-to-market, my first main thing would be to get a food service license because it makes it a lot easier to sell at farmers markets. They let you in a lot more when you do have that licensing through the Department of Agriculture. Between June and July, I'd like to get into facility kitchens or possibly Grand Rapids Downtown Market, which is a Grand Rapids-based commercial kitchen space, and then create the website and possibly start selling at farmers markets. Between that time, I would also like to start getting people signed up for our newsletter, which is how you will actually be notified of the box availability. And then for October 1st, I'd like to start pre-orders for the box, just because it makes it a little bit easier with a viable product like ours. You have to make sure you keep track of what you're actually making so you don't waste those products. And then December 1st, right before the holiday season, we would like to launch the business. Right before that holiday season, people are liking to start buying like the subscription model type things. And then eventually in 2021, we would love to have a retail space down in Grand Rapids, just so it is that true bakery feel. You get to go in, enjoy the good food, and also have like that nice homey environment. So for the next steps, these are a few of the main things that we would focus on: the licensing, packaging, because labeling is very important when it comes to food products, and then ordering raw ingredients and things of that nature. Anything else would be allocated to rent for the commercial kitchen, legal fees, and also an emergency fund. Thank you, guys.
So your presentation made me very hungry, so thanks for that.
Sorry.
Just wondering if you have talked to really the consumers here that you're targeting in West Michigan, in Grand Rapids, maybe people that that visit bakeries now, and kind of, you know, are they interested in this concept versus maybe the bakery that they've been going to for the last 5 years?
Right, that was one of the things that I kind of felt very worried about at first, because people do get those restaurants that they like to go to, they're very loyal to them. And because we do offer that uniqueness of the varied selection of different goods from different countries, I feel like that would be able to bring us a little bit more of an awareness. And the people that I had surveyed had said that they had never seen something in the Grand Rapids area or even in their areas around the world. I had a few people from the United Kingdom who I had talked to, and they didn't find anything with their areas around them that they would like to see. So I thought it was a really unique opportunity. Nobody does this. So to be able to bring that to the table, I feel like they would be able to stray from their actual favorites to try ours.
In your customer discovery, did you ask your people you talked to specifically about your subscription offering? And if so, how many of those said they would subscribe?
I did not. That was something that kind of pivoted from the original. I found that it would have been a little bit more unique to actually try a membership, as well as the fact that it's got a very high startup cost to actually start a location and get that running properly. So I wanted to try with the membership first and bring that uniqueness and help out those small businesses that we would be partnering with. But it was not originally that, so I haven't actually talked to a lot of people. I've gotten a few people who have talked to me and said, oh, this is a really unique idea. It seems very plausible that I would actually go out and purchase this, but it's not something I've done actual validation with, no.
Quick question, but one validation, I would do as much customer discovery as you can, just to make sure that, you know, you're hitting the market, the price is right, kind of thing. Could you go back to the list of the items in the box so I can make sure I understand what's in the box?
Do you want this one for the cost?
Sure, that's fine. So you have one baked good item?
Yes.
So I only get one Irish butterfly cake in this box? Okay, and then what is the item? What's the $12 item?
The item, so I didn't know how to word it. It's that item that you would get from that shop that we've worked with to find, like Emma in Wicklow, Ireland. That is the item. I just didn't know how to word it properly. But yeah, it's that different good product each month.
Okay, because if I'm going to subscribe to a baked good box from a different country, I would want most of the baked goods in the box. I probably wouldn't care about the item. Give me more of the butterfly cakes.
Right, okay, yeah.
finish their notes, we've got a team that has a few props here. We're going to let them come in and kind of set up. So for this next one, we're going to need 2 volunteers from the audience to come up here and eat those cakes while they give their presentation.
Yeah, okay. Wait, it doesn't, okay. All right, hello, I'm Sydney, and together with Kate and Joe, we are Considered Furniture. We're proposing a sustainable and affordable furniture line for the residential furniture industry. In Grand Rapids, well, anywhere around this time during graduation season in the spring, you see a lot of people moving and a lot of furniture on the side of the road. This photo we took on Fulton actually last week, and it's something that people are constantly, when they don't know what to do with their furniture, it goes on the side of the road and ends up in the landfill. Furniture ranks as the least recycled item in a household. 9.8 million tons of furniture waste goes into the landfills every year. And that number is only going to continue to increase as interior design trends are constantly shifting, furniture design trends are shifting, and people are purchasing new furniture and throwing away their old. As of right now, common ways of obtaining furniture are through hand-me-downs, thrift, placeholder furniture, and expensive furniture. The first 3 options are more affordable, but these are the options that end up in the landfills constantly and are just like the placeholder for down the road. And then the expensive option is something that our consumer isn't really wanting to invest in. They don't want to purchase a really expensive piece of furniture that's going to last them their whole lifetime. They know that interior design trends are shifting. They know that they're going to be moving, and they don't want to make that commitment to furniture. This is why we believe it's time to disrupt the way that consumers think about furniture, and that there needs to be a furniture line out there that has ethical sourcing, one-stop and accessible, it's affordable, and then it's shifting with these trends. Consider Furniture is an affordable and sustainable furniture line that starts with a sheet of plywood. Plywood is the most economical way to source wood from a tree, and the way that we manufacture it produces the highest amount of yield and the least amount of waste. And this creates our circular design of shifting or designing into a larger piece of furniture. So we'll start with a dining room table, and then as that's recycled, sent back to us, we recycle that into the side tables or the smaller chairs, and then further down into the accessory pieces, maybe a picture frame, and then the final life is sawdust, compostable to go back to the earth and create the circular system. We're providing sustainable living, ability to upgrade, modern and quality look, as well as a complete furnished living space. So we're proposing to offer complete furnished packages or suites. And so the first way that we're going to start with this is the living room suite. And this gives consumers the ability to know that what they're buying is going to be cohesive, and they don't need to worry about like mix and matching. They have their whole living furniture as well as their dining space. The buyback and recycle program encourages consumers to make this purchase for the chair, and then when they're done with it, they're not throwing it out. We're offering to buy it back from them, to recycle it and do whatever's appropriate depending on the state of that piece of furniture. Looking at our competitors, so you guys know IKEA, they're really affordable, but this is where it falls into that placeholder furniture piece, where you're buying it and then 5 or 10 years down the road, it's getting thrown out, added to the landfills. Our other competitors are Copeland and Greenington, which are much more expensive, and they're sustainable, but they're really expensive. And like I mentioned earlier, our consumer isn't wanting to make that investment in furniture. Considered furniture fits right here. So we're closer to the IKEA price range, but still highly sustainable, and there's options for them once they purchase it and they're ready to switch over to something new. Our value proposition is a circular system that provides sustainable education and furniture to a curious new generation. We believe that our consumer really wants to make these good, responsible choices with their purchases, but they just don't know where to begin. And so Considered Furniture is showing them that it's accessible, it's affordable, and it's a good option for them to go with. So our demographic, obviously goals are Grand Rapids, or the United States as a whole, post-grad millennials, 25.2 million. But keying it down to more realistic, as of right now, we're addressing West Michigan post-grad millennials, 59,000. And these post-grad millennials, they have entry-level income, smaller apartment, and like I mentioned, they care about the environment, but just don't know where to begin with those purchases. Our website's going to be simple. They have a simple option. They know exactly what they're getting. They don't have like 50 options that they're choosing from. They know what it is, and they're purchasing that. From that one sheet of plywood, we can get 6 chairs, and then when we get the chair back after the consumer is done with it, we get that return on investment, recycling that, making it into new products to sell. These are our financial plans. So in year 1, we're planning to hopefully sell 50 suites of that furniture and be local here in West Michigan, then shift towards all of Michigan, and then the North Midwest is our 5-year goal. The net income that we'd be making in the first year would be $43,000, reaching all the way to the 5th year, selling 2,500 suites of furniture and making $3 million. Some of our mentors have been really encouraging. We have a diverse team of mentors all over the world, and it's been really good to talk to them because they're really excited about this idea, and they have different opinions and kind of qualifications that bring to the table. Our team, so Joe is a furniture and collaborative design student, so he has a lot of experience with production and management, helping the actual function of our furniture kind of come to life. Kate is studying furniture design and is our specialty like materials researcher, so she's making sure that all of our material selections are good and doing a lot of research into everything about our product. I'm Sydney. I have my undergrad in interior design, and I'm pursuing a master's of architecture right now. So I'm keeping on top of these interior design trends, trying to advertise it, doing the interior renderings, and helping people envision this product in their home. For go-to-market, so it's starting out in this online purchasing system and then shifting towards West Michigan and then East Michigan. And in year 5, we want to have a brick and mortar store so people can go to the store, see the furniture, know what they're exactly buying. Advertising, we're going to do a lot of social media advertising through Facebook and Instagram, and then leading to a really simple website where it's easy, they know exactly what they're doing, what they're buying, and it's going to ship directly to their door. Customer validation, we took over 200 surveys, and they were really encouraging. Consumers are really excited about this idea and the affordability and the accessibility of it. And there was even like some mention of the excitement of bringing back residential design in a new way to Furniture City. And then they're willing to pay this amount of money for the products. Our partners, we have some accounts made with these partnerships to get our feet on the ground with this. And we've already started prototyping. As you can see, we have some furniture up here. And this photo is really exciting for us because this was in the wood shop. It's happening. We have this stuff going, and we're starting to get this out there. Thank you.
So granted, I don't have a furniture background, but I've got a hypothesis, which would be that if you were to talk to customers about what's most important to them, like what factors in making a furniture purchase, I would think, or at least my thoughts would be, is it comfortable and do I like the way it looks? I think it's a great concept, but I wonder how that factors in, and have you gotten validation that people would buy these specific items, they like how they feel, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so something we're targeting here is that aesthetic. Trends are changing really quickly, that fast fashion is moving into furniture, and trends are blending. So this allows them to stay on trend without being purchasing in a linear system. So they can stay really trendy, up to date on that. We do have validation from these pieces, and we'll be setting them up and gathering more, creating different looks and lines, and seeing which one clicks the best.
Cool idea. You had mentioned that the main focus is the recycling piece, but then in your presentation you talked a little bit about a buyback option. So when you sell the furniture, it's not built in, so they would have to subscribe to a buyback option?
That's essentially a return on investment for the consumer. So that's also how we're returning clients and maintaining a client base, is once they buy, they realize, oh, I can return this, get my money back, and purchase at my next location when I move, need a new look, et cetera. So it maintains our customer base. They don't have to participate, but it is a key feature.
Okay, but then aren't we dismissing your original goal of not having it end up on the curb? If there's already kind of a buyback option, they know that I can send this back when I'm done? I'm just curious in your customer discovery.
Yeah, we're being more convenient for the customer, so we would manage picking up the material and product when it's done, making sure it returns back in our inventory, so it's not on the curb.
I think this is great. I really like the concept. I like the idea of sending it back in. But can you walk me through that a little bit, just that recycling, how you're planning on, do you refit it, or do you cut that table down and do a couple chairs, or just kind of walk me through how that works, or what your plans are?
Yeah, so not pictured here, but up above you can see our coffee table. It actually has the same exact proportions as our dining table. All we have to do for this piece to transition it is cut down the legs. There are a lot of solutions like that within our collection that are designed in from the very beginning, where pieces are exchangeable. Also, the dining table top is sized accordingly, that we know how many dining chairs will fit in that top. We know how many side tables will fit in that top. So large, expansive pieces in particular are really beneficial for us.
And then maybe a follow-up. When you resell those same pieces, are you selling them as new pieces or refurbished?
Those are refurbished, recirculated at a lower price point.
Gotcha. Great.
So we're going to have Hardy Acres next.
Also very light. They're very light. I don't
3 to 5 pounds. We will find that out. Yeah.
Do you smell that?
Judges ready? Okay, introducing Hardy Acres.
Hello everybody, my name is Arturo Charles. I'm the owner and founder of Hardy Acres LLC. Hardy Acres LLC is a staffing company that helps connect people south of the border legally with jobs here in Michigan. If you would have asked me about Hardy Acres 2 years ago, I would have told you it's nothing but a dream, a big idea, an aspiration of mine. But in December of 2018, I started taking the first steps in making my dreams a reality. So what's the problem that we're trying to solve? Farmers all across the United States are getting more and more desperate for legal help, legal as in not illegal, right? So they hire people like Jose. Jose is a phenomenal worker. His family works on the farm. They are dependable, but they're illegal. The IRS and the Department of Labor come in, they run an audit on the farmer, and they charge the farmer $12,000 for every illegal person that he has. If you have 50 workers, that's $600,000. You might as well flush your crop down the drain at that point. So you have upset farmers. So what's the solution? The solution is you hire Hardy Acres. Everybody benefits. Hardy Acres makes money because we move them, we pay the insurance on them. We also help people who are in poverty in other countries come here, work. In 6 weeks, they can make what they make back home in 2 years. You have a happy farmer. He doesn't get audited, doesn't have big fines, and he gets his crop harvested. everybody wins, right? So my market that I'm targeting will be asparagus farmers, apple farmers, cherry farmers, and blueberry farmers here in Michigan. We are able and willing to accommodate just about any fruit farmer here in Michigan. Michigan for now. We could expand. Specifically targeting those who employ illegal immigrants and who just need more workers. So market size. In Michigan, we have over 800 apple farmers covering over 35,000 acres. Michigan also ranks #1 in asparagus production in the entire country, raking in over $20 million in 2016. We have over 500 blueberry farmers covering over 20,000 acres. Michigan also grows 75% of the tart cherries in the entire United States, along with 20% of the sweet cherries out of the entire United States. On the bottom, I also have listed a bunch of fruits and vegetables that are all harvested by hand. Those are all potential clients for Hardy Acres. So what are the trends? Nicole Heslip, a journalist for AG News of America, said the number of temporary visas issued for the H-2A workers in the past decade has jumped 500%, a trend experts say is not slowing down. Matt Bragdo, a local farmer here out of Sparta, Michigan, said when I interviewed him, by next year, just about all the apple farmers in the area will be using solely H-2A workers. So here I have in 2014, you might be wondering what this chart is saying. In 2014, we had a big frost. We lost the entire apple crop. Domestic workers, illegal workers that are here that migrate from Florida here, came in 2014 and they were looking for work. The farmers had to turn them away because they didn't have any crop for them to pick. In 2015, the farmers had a crop, but the workers had gone elsewhere, established relationships. In 2015, they were scared to come back to Michigan. They said, we're gonna go back, there's not gonna be work. So in 2015, the farmers go to the Farm Bureau. They say, hey, we need workers. You guys are our insurance. We need help. So this H-2A program, it's an H-2A visa. It's something that the government does, and they've been doing it since the 50s. It's just gotten harder to use because of people abusing the system. So what's the competition? There's 4 other companies doing the same exact thing that I'm doing. But what makes us better? I'm by far the cheapest. Where do I make it? Why am I the cheapest? Because I'm taking the cut. I'm not in it for the money. We're also local. And the smile on that guy's face is why I do what I do. I want to make sure when someone comes here to work in the United States, they have a good experience. They're treated like the human beings that they are and not as machines like a lot of people are treating them. There was a local story that happened where H-2A supplier, someone like myself, picked up the crew on a Sunday when the farmer was letting them rest and took them elsewhere to go work. And he said, if the crew isn't working, I'm not making money. That's not why we do what we do. We want to make sure that these people are treated with dignity and respect. So traction and validation. By the end of the year, I'll be making money. I have a contract signed with Arts Farm, and we'll be picking their apples in September. I also have a contract signed with Brandel Farms. We'll be harvesting his cherries in July, and those are all in Oceana County. Next year, we anticipate to supply roughly 100 H-2As between BW Orchards and Heregra Farms as well as hopefully re-sign on Arts Farm and Brandel Farms. So revenue, you might be wondering, how are you gonna make money? Well, let's talk about my expenses. I have insurance expenses, CPA, the person who does my payroll, I have to pay them. And then transportation. I balled all of these high just for presentation's sake, but that all comes out to about $5,600 for 20 workers on an 8-week period. Keep in mind that these people can be here from 4 weeks to 10 months. So this is just, we're going 8-week period. So the same 8-week period, what's my income? My income is minimum wage plus 30%. Minimum wage for an H-2A worker is $13.54 an hour. At 30%, that's $17.60 an hour. My profit per hour per worker is $4.06. 20 people at 30 hours a week. The reason I do 30 hours a week is because the farmer, when he signs on for people, has to guarantee me 75% of a 40-hour work week. He has to pay me that whether or not they work, because that's why they're coming. That's 600 hours. 600 hours at $4.06 is about $2,400. $2,400, 8-week contract that we talked about earlier, $19,000. $19,000 subtracted the $5,600 for expenses, you get my profit, $13,000. Financial projections. If I can get up to 250 H-2A employees, I'll be making $250,000 in 8 weeks. All of my estimates are based off 30% of my profit goes towards expenses. That's just what it pans out this year, so I use that same to get me a rough estimate. So go-to-market strategy. In the next 4 years, I want to have 250 employees successfully. So my main focus right now is successfully connecting the workers with the jobs. As well, I want to continue networking. My priority tasks are to complete my current contracts. My contracts that I have this year, I want to make sure that those are successful. My target results, I want to satisfy both my customers and my employees. That's why I'm doing it. And like I said before, contract 250 H2As by the end of the year. So who's on my team? My team is myself. I'm the owner and founder of Hardy Acres, as well as my wonderful father, who is also a mentor and a very key component when it comes to networking. He's over 30 years in the agricultural business, and he has a lot of friends who are farmers. So my next steps, I want to make sure I buy transportation. I want to continue networking, successfully start bringing people, buy land, and build housing. Transportation, connections, and building housing. But most of all, I want to start making that difference and making sure that these people are treated with dignity and respect, and we're advocating for such a vulnerable population. Thank you.
See how they pass the mic. And you did that whole presentation without taking a breath. That was amazing.
It's a lot of information.
It was really good. So I guess maybe two questions. My first, what regulatory problems? I suppose there could be some. I mean, they could change the number of H-2A visas. They could change other kinds of regulations. So sort of a two-part question. Where is that now? What kinds of risks do you see, and how is it moving? Is it getting easier? Is it getting harder? What's happening going forward?
I did something. Whoops. Well, so as far as, it's actually not hard to get a visa, as crazy as that sounds. But the same program that's been around since the 50s, where people came and got their green cards, right? That was abused of. So they changed it and they made it harder to get a visa. But if I go to the farmer and the farmer gives me the paperwork that's petitioning for them, saying, I'm going to give them work, I'm going to give them housing, I'm going to make sure they get to work, I'm going to make sure they're taken care of, I take that to the consulate in Mexico and they give them visas right off the bat. It's not a difficult process.
Okay.
It's a lot of steps, but it's not difficult.
But do you see that changing going forward next year, year after?
No, because we are so short on workers. It's the only solution. The other solution is to hire illegals. And the IRS, that is what's changing, is that they're running more and more audits than what they used to. So people are switching over to H-2A.
Okay, all right.
I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, as much as you can forecast the future, sure. Now I just want you to know more about it than I do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What about the expenses associated with getting these visas?
Okay, so I excluded that because I would have had to take a breath if I would have kept going. But so that whole financial, we can talk, if you're genuinely interested, we could talk about that after because it's very extensive. But basically, to give you a kind of an overview, I split that cost with the farmer. I pay for the visas, but they pay for the transportation and housing because it takes a couple days to get up here. They have to stay in hotels. They got to eat. They don't have money. So I work out a work agreement with the farmer saying, you know, this is how we're dealing with the costs.
I was trying to understand if it plays a significant role in your profits.
No, this is my profits once they're here. And then I also make money on bringing them up. So that's a whole nother process. It's complicated.
I understand that your offering makes it easier for farmers, but with 30% markup, I'm wondering what's the pain point? How hard is it for the farmers to go through this process themselves that justifies a 30% upcharge to have your company do it? Does that make sense?
Right, yes. So 30% is low. These other companies that are doing the same thing are marking anywhere from 40 to 60%. The 30%, they don't have to pay workman's comp. I take care of workman's comp, so they automatically, that's a cost that they don't have to deal with. The reason they're willing to pay more is because if they get audited, the consequences are much worse than the markup. Cool, thank you.
So next we have co-lease, and then block style is on deck. Judges all set?
Hi, I'm Jenna Graydon. So nice to meet you, and thank you for being here. Hi, nice to meet you. Thank you for being here. Yep. Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Jenna. Here we go. Thank you for being here. Hi, I'm Jenna.
Next we have co-lease.
A few semesters ago, I was getting ready to study abroad and I was needing to find a subleaser. The way you do this at Grand Valley is to post on Facebook or to put a listing on Craigslist. And I thought the process would be pretty easy. I went through all of the steps that you're supposed to, and it was a lot harder than I thought. It took 3 months to find a subleaser, and I was weeks away from going to study abroad, and I still hadn't found someone. So luckily, last minute, it worked out for me, but my roommate was in a very similar situation and had to pay for a room she wasn't using. As we see more people using Uber and Airbnb, we're starting to see a rise in a sharing economy. So it comes to no surprise that 65% of millennials are opting to rent versus buy. And with trends, we're starting to see millennials planning on keeping a job for less than 3 years and starting to move around more often. So what is the real problem here? Well, students are having to sign a 12-month lease far in advance just due to the high demand for off-campus housing. So they are not knowing their plans in advance and are having to sign leases they're not ready for. So whether it be study abroad, a bad roommate situation, or landing that new internship, your plans change and so should your lease. So hi, I'm Jenna Grannon. I'm the founder of CoLease. And what we do, we are a subleasing platform that connects college students based on their temporary housing needs. In order to stay differentiated from our competitors, we allow the ability to be matched with other users, as well as having roommates involved with the situation. So now you're able to message as a house and get to know each other before you move in with a stranger. So our target market is college students ages 18 to 26, and our segments are the subleaser and the subleasee. They have very different needs, but they are crucial to one another in order to create a transaction. As for competition, our main competition for the Midwest is Facebook. This is the way students are finding subleasers currently through subletting pages. However, you have to post consistently because your posts become irrelevant so quickly, and not the right people are seeing them at the right time. Secondly, there's Craigslist, but students are a little iffy about Craigslist just due to the fact that you have to give out a lot of information to strangers. And then a direct competitor would be Flip. However, they're focusing on larger target markets in New York and not tailoring the needs of the college students. And then lastly, we have Airbnb. As we all know, they are focused on vacations and creating an experience and more of a short-term stay. So validation. I started talking to students and sent out a survey and was trying to figure out what the most frustrating process was. And a lot of responses were, they were frustrated with the fact that they were looking for a subleaser that their current roommates could approve of. And when asked how to alleviate the pain that they were experiencing, many students responded that they wish there was a website that they could post certain attributes so they would filter out non-compatible people. And when asked on a scale of 1 to 10 how difficult the process was, 60% of the respondents said a 7 or higher. We were trying to pinpoint what features were actually relevant to what the users were wanting, and we found that 79.5% of users would like to have their roommates be involved with having a profile, additionally having the matching capabilities with other users. And 65% of respondents took more than a month to find a subleaser, which some of them reported not even finding one in time. To take validation a step further, I created a landing page, and within 2 months and minimal marketing, I have received over 100 emails of students that would be currently interested in the service. As for our revenue stream, we are focusing on the freemium model. With the subleaser, we are having them pay $50 to list with money back guaranteed if they do not find a subleaser in 3 months. This allows their post to stay relevant and be able to reach out to the user first, and all of the features on the side would be included. For the subleasee, they would pay $10 to unlock all the features, or could have the basic version of just looking at listings themselves. As for cost, our main cost is going to be developing the MVP platform, and we are going to focus heavily on advertising within universities, especially Grand Valley for year 1, by doing campus night booths, social media, and reaching out through marketing material on campus. As for our financials, year 1, like I mentioned, we are focusing within Grand Valley. So I identified the numbers 150 for the subleasee and 75 for the subleaser, just due to the fact a number I identified later in the slide will be 2,800 students at Grand Valley who study abroad or transfer students. And additionally, I looked into Facebook pages and how often people are posting, so that went into the number as well. In year 2, we will be expanding within schools in the Midwest, so we will see a rise in the number of users as well as total revenue, and then we will be able to break even. So just to reiterate, year 2, we are breaking even, and we'll start to see the costs level out. And within year 3, since we are starting to create revenue, we are hoping to expand our market into young professionals, as we see they have a similar problem. So, as I mentioned, I'm Jenna. I'm the CEO and founder of CoLease. I'm a marketing and entrepreneurship student who became heavily involved with entrepreneurship my sophomore year. And I have created a team of mentors and advisors within the finance, business strategy, and tech industries who have helped me further my business venture. As for our go-to-market strategy, I've identified the 2,800 students within my own university, as I mentioned, and we will expand within Midwest schools who have a high study abroad or transfer student rate with the identified 25,000 students. With this, I will begin the MVP by testing at Grand Valley and then fully launch and target schools within the Midwest. So I'm asking for the $4,000 that will go strictly back into developing the MVP and the back end of my demo that I've already started to create. And I will do this by, I've reached out to Grand Circus, who has a coding boot camp, and I'm going to connect with one of the alum that already went through that and use them as a freelancer. So don't be tied down to a lease, join CoLease.
Great job. Looks like you've identified an interesting pain point.
Thank you.
One of the things that I'm wondering about, how does the rental property law play into this? For example, does the landlord have to be part of this?
Right. So the student is going to be responsible for identifying whether they can sublease or not. So we are not legally responsible for determining that. And so we're creating a contract between the subleasee and the subleaser. The landlord does not have to be involved.
So as someone who has faced this problem before for about 3 years, I know that it's a really big issue. And I know you kind of looked at other competitors that fall into the subleasing, but I was wondering if you've studied your competitors that it's also subleasing, but more on the roommate side, because there's a lot of products out there that look at roommates, but they don't necessarily position themselves as co-leasing. So I was just wondering if you had sort of looked into, roommates.com, those types of things.
Yes, so I have actually looked into those roommate web platforms, and a lot of them are targeting just to find the roommate initially, and then you find the housing on your own. What we're really trying to focus on is there's this gap between short-term stay with Airbnb and then long-term stay of a 12-month lease. There's nothing in the middle right now for college students to be able to find, and even though you may have a roommate, that's not going to be able to solve it. So we are going to be able to differentiate ourselves that way.
I think it's great you got an initial website set up to start getting some traffic.
Yes.
That's easy said, but a lot of people don't do that. That being said, what question or what was the indication people do on the website to show they were interested? Like, did you ask them specifically, would they pay? Or are these folks that just want to maybe learn more? What level of commitment have you gotten from that validation?
Yeah, so I have the landing page set up kind of similar to your flyer. It's just explaining what CoLease is, and it's going to give them the ability to, it has a place to send your email and then says join now. And I know that people really need this platform because I also have a little place at the bottom to send a chat to ask questions, and people are sending me listings already. I mean, there's no place to list, and they're just sending me emails saying like, please put this up, please. So there is a need for it. I've identified that through the landing page.
So just to confirm, this is via a website and marketing that way, not an app.
Right, web platform. As we begin to make revenue, and if we see that users are needing a web platform that they want to be able to communicate right on their phone via an app, we would consider that, but just due to cost, we think it's more viable just to have a web platform for right now.
How did you arrive at the $5,000 amount to develop the MVP?
Yes, so I actually talked to a tech student, and his name is Ben Parcel. He was one of the tech advisors. I was asking him based on, well, I went to a web developer initially, and the costs were much higher. He said when working with a freelancer, it's going to be much lower, and I would like long-term to co-found.
Okay, next we have block style. If you're keeping track, we are running just a little bit behind, but I promise the judges will do quick work, or maybe not, with all these good pitches.
Thank you. Yeah, we probably do, if that's possible.
As long as
Okay, perfect, thank you. Yep.
I know.
Judges all set. Okay, this is block style.
Imagine giving a plastic toy to a small child in your family. Most of the time they outgrow this, and it is shipped off to thrift stores such as Goodwill, where it is then, the unbought plastic is shipped off to landfills where it's polluting our earth. Hi, we're Block Style. We're here to solve this problem. My name is Zach Dale. I'm a supply chain and finance major.
My name is Lucy Mudell. I'm a researcher.
Mike Prescorn, advertising and sales.
Corey Mead, finance and business economics.
Our world has a plastic epidemic problem, and we're here to solve that. Currently, 300 million tons of plastic is being produced per year, and 8 million tons of plastic is being dumped into our oceans. A more local scale, we took a tour of the Granville Goodwill, and we found out that they are losing $10,000 per year on the disposal of their plastic. Currently, 8,500 to 10,000 pounds of waste per year is being disposed into landfills. This current system is just not working. Our solution is to take the leftover post-consumer plastic and transform it into home foundations and retaining walls, along with parking stops. And consumers who buy from us will get a LEED certification, which is essentially a tax break for them. I will now shift gears to Lucy, who will now talk about our product more in depth.
So I'll be going over the 3 products we're aiming to produce. Our first block style product would require no sorting of the plastic, so it can use all plastic types. It also has lower greenhouse gas emissions than creating concrete bricks, and it has improved sound and temperature insulation compared to normal concrete foundations. Our next product would use injection molding with polypropylene plastic, and you have an example of that in front of you for the judges. And our third product would be these parking stops, which would also use this polypropylene. And here you have an example of the mold filling process with the injection mold for the second and third type of blocks. These are the machines that we would use your investment to acquire. There's a shredder, a compressor, and an injection molder. And next I'm handing it over to Mike for market and demographics.
All right, so for our first 2 products, the foundation blocks, my apologies. We would sell directly to construction companies and nonprofit organizations, making us a B2B or business-to-business company. For the parking stops, there's a current law within Michigan that states that large companies must have parking stops around the perimeter of their parking lot. So we would focus on companies that fill these requirements. Those would be retail stores, hospitals, and casinos. For the opportunity, as Zach said earlier, there's just too much plastic going to waste in the United States that is not only affecting our environment, but it's also affecting our future generations. So we plan on taking this harm and making it positive. There's also many ways that we can use this plastic. The 3 products that we described before are only one of a couple of the ways that we could do it. We are currently talking about more ways that we could be using this recycled plastic. And then finally, a possible partnership with Goodwill. We have been in contact with the vice president of the Goodwill within Granville, and he said that it is promising that we could have a partnership with him for this plastic. I will quickly hand it back over to Zach to go over the competition.
So currently there is one company that is doing the compressed bricks, and that's called Bifusion, but they're only located in New York, Los Angeles, and New Zealand, so there is a market for this in our area. For the parking stops, more locally, it is called Green Tree Plastics, and they're located in Indiana that supply more of the parking stops in our area. And we would also consider recycling and waste companies that take out the plastic as a competition because they're polluting it in our landfills. I actually currently worked the last couple summers doing building foundations, and I talked to my former boss and owner of BSI Foundations from Brighton, Michigan. His name is Dave Collins, and he thought it was a great idea, but he wanted to know if it was possible if we could connect these blocks to fit these basements that come already so that it would reduce labor costs. As you can see in front of you, we do have a prototype of a small version of a 3D printed block. I will now turn it over to Corey for the revenue model.
So let's talk numbers. We're going to sell directly to the construction companies using a price penetration strategy. So this will help us gain a larger market share at originally selling the product at $5 per cubic feet, and we'll be able to increase the price from there. You see that we have the typical basement being 1,000 square feet. That'll give us $5,000 per basement, and we're looking to get about 4 basements per month. So continuing with the financials, as you can see, with your initial investment of $4,000, what we'll be able to do is buy a small-scale version of the machines needed to create these products. We can then prototype and further our research and development to help us make sure we maximize what we're doing. Our cost of goods sold is going to be $3.60, and that'll give us a margin of $1.40. Continuing on, so our break-even point for the first year is going to be selling 69,000 units, which sounds like a lot, but it's actually not that many when you break it down as to how many blocks it takes to fill a basement. Our year 2, we're looking at having an investment gain of $30,000, and year 3, $270,000. Thereon after, we plan to grow at 4.5% yearly. And the reason that we're the best team for this job is we have a well-rounded group. With our mentor, Professor Matt Larson, we have background in finance, supply chain, marketing, and research. The only thing we need to cap this off is an engineer to help test and certify our products.
So for our go-to-market strategy, we have set 4 milestones that we hope to accomplish in the near future. The first, of course, would be acquiring the plastic. As I said before, we have been in contact with the Vice President of Goodwill in Granville, and things are looking promising on that front. The second, if we are lucky enough to win this competition, we would use the money to hire an engineer who would help us to further research and develop our products. The third would be to test the products with foundation companies around West Michigan. For this, what we would be doing is to visit expositions, construction expositions, get in contact and create relationships with the people who go to these. And finally, we would slowly grow our company within West Michigan and soon Michigan as a whole. Our goal is, if we accomplish these 4 milestones, is to pay back the initial investment between 2 to 3 years. For the next steps, once again, is to come to an agreement for the acquisition of this plastic with Goodwill, to buy the machines with the investment, to hire an engineer, and further the research and development of our products. Thank you.
Thank you. You mentioned construction companies as a possible customer for this. Looks like you validated with a couple. Have you looked at kind of a larger base validation? Because this sounds like a little bit of a new idea in terms of a new way to build basements. Is that something that these companies are really open to?
Yeah, so I was talking to my former boss, and his main problem was reducing the labor costs, because that's the main cost that he has. So if we were to customize them and produce the blocks as they are already, the basement already come, then that would totally reduce the labor costs, and they would totally be interested. I contacted a few other construction companies. They didn't get back to me about this, but the one company, like I said, was a big help for us. So.
In the beginning, you mentioned that Goodwill loses $10,000 or so per year, per month?
Yeah, per year.
Per year. That being said, if it's a pain point for them, have you thought about charging Goodwill as a service to get rid of their plastics for them at all, or do you have thoughts on that at all?
So actually, we would have to be buying the plastic from Goodwill, because from 2.5 cents per pound. So that's the way that we'd be doing it.
Okay. How'd you get those numbers?
From the vice president of Goodwill.
So we buy the plastic and we're jumping to already putting it in the ground. What plans do you have in place to make sure that if I build a foundation with this stuff, it's not going to cave in the year or two after that? So I think there seems to be some incremental, significant testing that needs to go on before you actually start putting in foundations with construction firms. So
exactly.
Tell me about that.
So that's the biggest concern right now for many homeowners, is having their home built on plastic. So it'll be the same steps as the regular foundation panel walls, but the only difference is that it's plastic, and ours has a honeycomb shape, so it is more durable. And Lucy can talk a little bit more about that. She's more engineering standpoint.
Yes, so Biofusion, which is one of our competitors for the shredded blocks, have already tested it and found they have lower greenhouse gas emissions, and they're more sturdy than concrete blocks. So you take that shredded block and cover it with concrete, it wouldn't, from what they've found so far, doesn't release any harmful gases, cracks less, so it's actually safer than the other types of foundations. And we would hire an engineer with the investment money to further do tests for stress and strain on the bricks that we're hoping to produce with the injection molding.
Maybe just to build on the same engineering questions, what about fire code or looking at it from that standpoint?
Right. Currently, we looked into a little bit of laws, and there's no laws in having plastic as a foundation. And that's more of an engineering standpoint, where we need to hire and do some tests for fire control, and basically, yes. So. Correct. Thank you.
Last but not least, we will have date night. Everybody likes date night, right? Just try to keep.
Judges all set?
Who's ready for date night? All right.
I saw a hand in the crowd. That was nice. All right, ready? Hi, my name's Abby Safago. I'm from Aquinas College tonight to present the new app called Date Night, so you can stop the rounds of what do you want to do and finally make a move. So the goal of this was literally inspired by being bored, and I don't mean that in a bad way. There's been countless times with my roommate, who I've known for 18 years, where we sat there in our dorm rooms and gone, hey, what do you want to do tonight? And then she kind of flashes back to me like, I don't know, what do you want to do tonight? And we do this for like an hour until the only things left open is Taco Bell and that really shady bowling alley. We're tired of that. So this app was born out of that. It was inspired by that in order to create matches to find stuff in your area made for you. You'll take a quiz, about 20 to 25 questions, less than 5 minutes, kind of like those BuzzFeed ones when you're trying to find out which Disney princess you are. But instead of finding out that you're Mulan, you're gonna find out really good restaurants, really good activities in your areas to go to. Not only does this help our people in our area, it also helps our local businesses by getting them more awareness that they couldn't find on Google. So our target market, our largest group is ages 18 to 23, which I like to call the college age group. A lot of these people coming to these bigger cities are in those college age group, and like me, who I'm from like 2 hours away, I don't know what's in this area. So this app provides the option and provides the opportunities to see these places, showing you exactly what you need. Our next largest market is ages 50 plus, and this is also a really good target market for us because they have the most free time and most disposable income. So next, who do we want to go with? This one, friends, significant others, and first dates are our highest options. Another option shown was based on the surveys that people were like, oh, maybe for business, but that can be a later thing that we can add on. For friends and significant others, this is super easy to do. With this app, we can sync it through Facebook or Gmail, and then based on your friends list, it'll show you with your queue. It'll just bring it together and be like, hey, you both said you really like Mexican restaurants. Why don't you check out Mexico or Donka Tequera? For first dates, this would work really well, and there's a lot of profit margin for it just with using dating apps like Tinder and Bumble. And from this, we can show another tab in our app saying, hey, we noticed that you had a connection on this other app. Here's where you can go for these. Next up is what does our market want? The highest ones that we wanted was price settings, menu options, and distance settings. These are all really easy and customizable that we can add into the app. For price and distance, that's super easy. You press the tab on top of the screen, it'll pull it up. You can put your price setting low to high, which we all use. Let's be real, no one uses high to low. For distance setting, we'll start at about 1 mile and work up to 25 miles. By having that 1 mile setting of the radius, it keeps it local, but it also benefits those who don't have the transportation like some of us college students do have. So with that, it also does benefit with the 25 miles though, just because it gives you a lot broader of an area, it gives you more options, but it still keeps it relatively local and in the area. For the menu setting, super easy. You click on the name of the restaurant or of the place that you'd like to go, like Sky Zone, Dave & Buster's. It'll pull it up. It can show you menu pricing options. So at Sky Zone, it's going to show you, hey, it costs this much for 1 hour of jumping for this age range. So on and so forth. Any requirements with parking, so that way you're prepared to go to these places. So next up is our competition. Date night, obviously, gonna win, you know. It's the best one out of the ones up here. So for date night, ours would be available free in the App Store. The way that it would work is, you know, with that, we do it based off of your preferences. So instead of just showing you the generic based off like what Google or Yelp is gonna do, which is you search like cheap tacos and it only shows you Taco Bell, we're gonna show you all the really good Mexican restaurants in the area. The only other competition that we had is located in Denver, Colorado, which also is a similar premise of creating dates, but theirs actually is for a price. For theirs, you have to wait a couple days, up to 2 weeks, to find out where you're going, what you want to do, and it costs a minimum of $25. So let's talk cash. Ours, the most user-friendly that we can bring in revenue is with advertisements. Everyone hates when they're playing a game on their phone and then that 30-second ad pops up that you can't close out of, so we're straying from that. We'd like to keep it so that way it's a banner ad, so it's just at the top or the bottom of the screen, out of the way, but you can still see it and still have awareness of places in the area that you could want to go to. Another way is for a VIP membership of $1.99 a month to get rid of those ads and be able to upgrade and update your preferences more often and as soon as you'd like to. For this, the survey showed over 60% of those who took the survey, which I had 200 respondents, showed that they would actually be interested in using this just because of they'd like to have quicker, easier access to these things. And then once again, free in the App Store. It's accessible to everybody, whether it's through like, you know, Apple and Android or through Google Play Store. So what we need to make this reality. So for our app designer, I'm trying to stay local with it so we can not only help ourselves, but we're also helping others in the community with employment opportunities. One of the app designers in the community called Atomic Object is one that we're looking into just because, one, help local. They have a really good price range, they have a lot of expertise in this, and they've had a lot of experience with apps on the store. The next one would be Facebook and Google, just so we have those accounts so we can sync them, line them up, get people prepared, and get them going. Next is the money, which goes into the next two, which is investors and social promotions. To get an app running on average cost is between $100,000 and $500,000, and I'd like to meet that middle point of about $250,000. For that, it not only pays the app designers and also the upkeep of the app for a while, it also helps get the social promotions, paying Facebook so that we can use their service with them, and then it keeps us rolling. If you have any more questions, or if you just simply like to get a better date night, please let me know, and I'm ready for questions.
Thanks. I was wondering if you had any reference points you could help us with as far as how many users you need to get to start generating meaningful ad revenue, and then what it might cost to get that number of users.
So for the users, it's really easy to work with. If we connect it with Facebook and promote them through there, it's going to bring in a lot more because there's millions of people on Facebook that would see the advertisements. Same with Instagram and Snapchat. If we also connect it with Tinder and Bumble, it would bring in another few thousand. So in the first year, we'd be looking at about 100,000 people using the app and going upward from there.
As a follow-up, do you know to start generating ad revenue, are there thresholds as far as using Google ads or things like that? As far as once you have this amount of traffic or users, then you'll make X amount of dollars in revenue?
So for the amount of dollars per year, it would be looking at coming in at over $50,000 a year, just because of not only from the ad promotions from restaurants in the area and wanting to be, the top of the list, but also just from those ad promotions that'll show at the top and bottom of the screen. So from that, it'll bring in a lot of the revenue, it'll be prepared for it, and then it also shows more options for the customers.
So you talk a lot about restaurants, but I like to go out with friends and do other things. So have you considered doing, having destination places like a paint and pour, or local bands at clubs and all kinds of things on there
That'll
as well?
be a part of the app as well. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. So that's also a part of the app. That's where the activities part comes in, where it asks, are you more of an indoors, outdoors person, athletic or non, so on and so forth. So if you're really an arcade type person, it's going to show you those places like Dave & Buster's. Where if you're more of an outdoorsy person and you love sports in the wintertime, it's probably going to show you stuff at the Van Andel Arena or also at Rosa Parks Circle.
Great presentation, and I think it's a really clever idea. I really like how you're tying the social media together with a survey. I think that's really pretty cool. And so my question is, have you considered some type of feedback loop where when you're at, so the person says, I want to do this, and then they actually go, and while they're there at the event or after the event, it asks them, did this meet their expectations, or was it off mark or whatever, and uses that to fuel future survey responses?
Yeah, so that was actually something, and I got a lot in the comment section from doing these surveys, was we want to see the reviews from them, which can be provided. We can show it based on the 1 to 5 star rating, just from not only from Yelp and stuff like that, but also for those who have used the app and have been hey, this place was really awesome and we'd like to come back, kind of thing.
You talked about starting with, say, 20, 25 questions. Does that change each time someone wants to come up with an idea to do something?
It would come up with new questions the more you update it, but it would keep the same base question based on just finding those gauging the same interest that you would want to have. So if in the morning you're man, I am really feeling really good at IHOP right now, you want that breakfast food, it's going to show you options for those with an advertisement if you are not in the VIP. But if you are in the VIP later in the day and you're hey, I'm really feeling steakhouses right now, you can go in, change the preferences, and also look for more.
Okay, so that is our last presentation. We are going to take about a 7 to 10 minute break with the judges while they deliberate. And when we come back, we will be giving out very large checks. Before we break, is there anyone who wants to come up here and sing, dance, tell jokes for the next 7 to 9 minutes? Feel free, we'll leave the mic on.
So 9:10, we will be back in this room.
Okay, so Before we get to the good part here, let's give another round of applause to all the teams that put in the hard work. We know it's a lot of work, and you can see from Matt's story, it doesn't start. This is probably the easiest part, unfortunately. So keep at it, and let's give another round of applause to our judges for this evening. So we are going to start with a $750 award to the team that took second place from Group A in the 90-second pitch competition. And that will be Student Headline from Calvin College. Why don't you come on up and grab your check. Where's our photographer? Who's gonna put this on Insta? Yeah, you can still strike a pose if you want. Go ahead and have a seat and, oh, are you gonna take pictures? Are you gonna take pictures for us? There you go. Okay, we're low budget here. Okay, so next we're gonna have first place in the 90-second pitch competition for Group A is Hardy Acres, Aquinas College. So now we'll move to Group B for the 90-second pitch. In second place is Co-Lease, Grand Valley State University. I gotta do this for our sponsors real quick. It's peach flavor contract. All right, in first place for Group B, 90-second pitch is Forgive Everyone Co., Calvin College. Okay, now we'll move on to the pitch finalists. Oh, we can clap again, thank you, sorry. So for the finalist pitches, we have first, second, third place, 4,000, 2,500, and 1,000. We'll start with third place, and that goes to Block Style, Grand Valley State University. Now in second place for the finalist pitches is Considered Furniture, Kendall College of Art and Design. Thank you all. Have a good night. Thanks for coming out this evening. I appreciate your time. All right, just kidding. And in first place is Camper Medication, Kendall College. So once again, we want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. We know finals are just around the corner. Keep working hard. Great ideas, awesome pitches, better than last year. It keeps getting better. If any of you are around next year, you are welcome to come back and compete again. So we hope to see you again. Thank you.